scientists, or should I say technologists. This week we are moving downstream to the letter T for technology. And so, the PRPL Learning Lab at Home is proud to present how to use the app Photoshop Mix. Now, you may have heard of Photoshop, which is a computer program used by artists, photographers, and other creative people to create visual media, which are the images you find in brochures, books, on apps, and even on websites. So Photoshop Mix is just a user-friendly version that's free and you can download on your iPhone or tablet, and as the name Photoshop Mix suggests, allows you to mix different photos together into almost a collage. So I know a lot of us are getting a little antsy from our at-home learning labs, so we will be seeing how we can use the app Photoshop Mix to transplant ourselves into another galaxy, literally. So let's get our tech toolboxes out and let's get started. In terms of lab equipment, you will need two things. One, a device like an iPhone or iPad, and two, images. You are going to need at least two, one of yourself and of a place you have always wanted to visit. These images can be on your device already, or you can gather some materials to take pictures of. Calendars, children's books, and even video game cheat books make for excellent images because the print quality is so high. For the project I will be modeling, I will be recruiting the help of a very special friend and runaway from one of the Learning Lab's LEGO robotics classes, Milo the Science Rover. Now, Milo wants to go where all space rovers want to go, Mars. So for his next adventure, I will be sending Milo there. So with our lab equipment gathered, it is now time to download the app. So go to your app store or device equivalent and search for Photoshop Mix. And you are going to press search. And you should see there should be an icon with two overlapping circles, and it is most importantly free. So as with downloading any app, you will press Get, which will then prompt you to enter your Apple ID. This may require the assistance of the family's password protector. Young technologist, that's a parent. Since I already have the app on my device, it says Open. So once your app is downloaded, you can open it up. Like I said, it has two overlapping circles, and you will see an inspirational video on the top and options to sign in below. You can sign in using a Gmail, Facebook, or if you have Photoshop already, an Adobe ID. If you do not have any of these, you can get a free Adobe ID. Adobe is just the company that makes Photoshop, so it's safe to do. And the reason why you need to create an account is because it will give a place to save your projects to. So if you were to have the app on your iPhone as well as your iPad, you'll be able to edit projects from both devices, so they'll be in sync. So again, consult with a family's password protector, although any students in the Pro River School District should be able to sign in using their atlearn.proriver Gmail account. Now that we are signed in, we are in what I like to call the Photoshop Gallery, which is just a display of all the different projects you've created. Since we don't have any projects yet, you will see two built-in Photoshop tutorials. They give you an overview of the different tools and features of the app and are definitely worth checking out. For our purposes, we're going to jump right in and get started by pressing the plus button to add or create a new project. You have the options to start with either an image if it's already on your device, your camera if you need to take a picture of a book or a calendar, and a custom canvas if you want to start with a blank canvas. Since my picture is already on my device, I'm going to click Image. So you'll see on the left-hand side there's a menu for all different options of where you can import your image from. Since mine is already on my iPad, I'm going to find the image, which is of Mars, and tap it once. Now we are officially in the Photoshop Mix Studio, and we are ready to get mixing images. So as you can see in the center, we have our canvas, or our project, and you'll see two menus. You have one down below, which gives you options for what you can do to the image, like changing the brightness and contrast, and you can cut out a background using this scissor icon. You will also see this other menu, which right now has only one mini image of my Mars background, which says image layer. So all Photoshop projects are actually made up of layers, or images stacked one on top of the other. You can think of it sort of like a pizza pie, where you have a layer of dough on the bottom, with sauce and cheese stacked on top, which from above you get your completed pizza. So I'm now ready to add a new layer, a Milo layer, that I will stack on top of this Mars background. I can do that by pressing the plus button right above my Mars layer, and I have three options. I can add an image, a text, or a color. So Milo's an image, so I will click on image. Now I don't have a picture of him on my device already, so I'm actually going to go down to the bottom left corner where there's a camera icon. And now I can take a picture. Smile, Milo! Alright, so now that I have my picture of Milo, I want to shrink him down since he's kind of taking up the whole paper. I can do that by pressing my two fingers on the screen and pinching in. I can drag him wherever I want. To rotate him, I can twist my hand to the left or to the right and position him as I would like. So I want to get rid of this green background around him, and to do that, I'm going to go down to my options bar, which I mentioned earlier. We are going to be using primarily two of these options: the adjust, which changes the brightness and contrast of the image, and cut out, which will remove the background. So we're going to press cut out, and you'll now see I have a new options bar down here with different options for different tools I can use to cut out. I would recommend you using the Smart tool to delete out big areas, and then the Basic is basically like a paintbrush that'll let you go in for the finer details. So I'm going to press the Smart one, and you see that I also have this tiny options bar on the left hand side. This gives me options for my tool if I want to add to the background or take away. So I'm going to press subtract to take away, and now I just run my finger over the area that I want to take away. And you'll notice I can sort of paint around with my finger, and the computer is going to help me to delete some of the areas on its own. It'll kind of snap to the border, and I can zoom in to get a better feel. Okay, so you'll notice that it did a very good job, but that some areas are still there. This checkerboard cover means that they're not included. So to get back into those, I'm going to change to the Basic option down below, which will give me a paintbrush so I can erase out specific pixels that I want to erase. But in this case I want to add, so I'm going to press the plus one, which will be to add pixels, and I can change the size by tapping on this circle and moving up if I want to make it bigger, and dragging my finger down if I want to make it smaller. So I can zoom in, and I can paint over, and you'll start to see some of the pixels will reappear. I can do that for the other areas to make it reappear. Okay, looks pretty good. So once I'm happy with the area I have selected, I can then press the check mark box in the bottom right hand corner. And now he is added to Mars. So we've accomplished our mission. So I can reposition him if I would like over into the corner. Now I'm going to add some text. We're going to make it look like a postcard that says "Greetings from Mars." So to do that, I'm going to need to add another layer. So I'm going to press the plus button over my layers palette, where we now have Mars and Milo. And now instead of pressing image, I'm going to select text, since we're going to be adding words. And it says tap to edit, so if I tap once, I can now add the text that I would like to add. So we're going to say, "Greetings from Mars." Okay, and if you see down below, I have options to format the text. If I press on format, it'll give me all different font choices and size options. So I can play around with different fonts. I think I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to drag it up to the black area, how I was able to drag Milo around the page. And I can press the check mark when I am happy. And so now I can keep adding different elements to the background. Maybe I'll add myself up here in Mars, and you can do that by just keeping on pressing the plus button and you can keep adding images. So let's see what I come up with. Okay, so my project is just about complete. I will be sharing 3 tech tidbits that will help us bring our projects to completion. So tech tidbit number 1, you might have noticed that the moon is blocking out the text. So how can I send this layer backwards? I'm just going to come over to the right-hand side menu, my layers menu, locate the moon layer, tap on it once, and drag it underneath the text layer, and release. So the way these layers work, the layers on the bottom are the layers that are in the background, so that would be Mars and the library since they're really far back. Whereas the layers that are on top are the images that are closest to the viewer, so Milo, me flying, and even the text layer. So, tech tidbit number 2, how can I flip an image? Because right now, the picture of me flying, I'm facing the right. But let's say I want it to be facing the left. How can I do that? I just locate the layer with me flying, I tap on it, double tap on it, once to select it, and twice to bring up a little menu, and I'm going to click the option that says Flip H for Flip Horizontal. And you'll notice that now the program has flipped the image, so now I'm facing the left. And as tech tidbit number 3, which is more of a photography tip, how can you create the illusion of flight? Because I can tell you right now that in our time off I have not discovered any superpowers. So all I did was set a timer on my phone while I positioned myself on the ground. You can also recruit the help of a friend to take a photo from straight above while you are lying down. If you look online, you will see that you can be pretty creative with this effect. Okay, so as a final step for this and any project you complete, how do I save and share my work? So the good news is that Photoshop Mix automatically saves your image to your account in the gallery we saw earlier. But if you wanted to save your image to the camera roll, all you have to do is go up to this little icon on the top right corner. It's a square with an arrow pointing up. And you'll see the top option is to send to camera roll. So I tap on that once, and it'll say Save Completed, and I'll press OK. But if you wanted to share it with friends through email or text message, you can likewise do the same thing. Go up to the square with the arrow pointing up, and go down to where it says Share on the bottom, Share Image. And now you'll have all different options if you want to text it to someone, email it, or put it to your Google Drive. So I would love to see your projects, your completed postcards, to see where you have been while you are stuck at home. So feel free to email your projects to kbertucci@pearlriverlibrary.org. As an additional challenge, well, in this episode we challenged you guys to use Photoshop Mix to transplant yourselves to another galaxy. We would also love to see why there is no place like home. So whether you have been spending the evenings reading on the roof, accidentally made a pet giant, or some other misadventures, we would love to see what you've been up to. So again, send all of your postcards from home to kbertucci@pearlriverlibrary.org. So great work, technologists! This week we learned 1. How to add, cut out, and resize images. 2. How to save and share projects. And 3. Some important tech tidbits. If you are interested in learning some more tech tidbits about the app, be sure to go to pearlriverlibrary.org and look for a link to the website lynda.com. Once you're there, you can search for the free course, Adobe Mobile Apps for Designers. This course will cover some additional app features that we did not have time to get to in this episode, and you will also find a lot of other free courses for your creative pursuits, from Photoshop, drawing, and digital photography, to even website design, so it's definitely worth checking out. Also, stay tuned to the library's event page for information on when I will be hosting a live streaming of how to use the app Photoshop Mix, where I will address some additional features we did not get to in this episode, and also answer some of your questions. So next week we will be heading downstream to the letter R for reading, to close with a classic Learning Lab joke of the day. What is an astronaut's favorite key on the keyboard? The space bar. And why was this astronaut stuck in the space bar? Because he could not remember where the escape key was. So great work today, technologists. Happy electronic travels.